Well, this is July meeting. Transportation Street Activity Permit Committee. Thank you. I'm Betty Kay, Chair of the committee. I'm joined by Jess Coleman, Vice Chair, and the District Manager, Zach Bowman. Today we have a fairly full agenda, lots of resolutions. So if we can get the slides started, we can work off of that. Patrick?
My name is Paul Stimson. I'm from Southbridge College. I'm here to speak about the Fulton Street.
Right, that's a later one, so yeah, sorry, you have to wait. We'll get to it.
I figured as much.
I think it's,
It's the third item.
maybe second.
That's your second.
Yes. Now it's second.
Okay.
Okay. If we're ready, we can start with, it's Patrick online. Sorry. And he's going to be an attendee and needs to be included.
Okay, Patrick is here.
Okay, yeah, welcome, Patrick.
Hi, everyone.
And you now have control of camera and so you know about the audio. What I thought is, let me start a little bit about what your request is. Using some of the slides so they can kind of see the terrain and then let you get on and talk about them since that's what you know well.
Perfect. Okay. So, first of all, good evening, Madam Chair. And yeah, sure. Of course.
And let me just start by orienting people to the situation.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so this is request to repave Little West Street with a later request that is not written on there, that I'm aware of it. So also look at some ponding, which you'll see some photos of. And I was waiting to get some input from Zach on how to work with it. But anyway, so you can see the location of where Little West is to remind people who don't look at it all the time. I guess I better look at it. Little West Street is to the left. You can see it. Running parallel to, can you do a pointer on it? Because what's a little surprising is with the traffic here.
Second.
Yeah, you're highlighting wrong street.
What's that?
Yeah, it's a little one, but it's red and yellow.
Yeah.
So hard to believe the traffic was that heavy that it was considered moderate and heavy, because you'll see how small the street is. Nevertheless,
So if you can double click it.
We can magnify this.
I like
Right.
that, yeah.
Point higher.
well, it's too big an area, but anyway.
Okay. We got it, we know where it is.
Unless I went the full length of it, because it is so short. Next slide, which is back slide.
Four numbers.
Yeah, so you can see the over the road surface, which you'll see more of, because I can't see it. Next. Yeah, here's another, actually, from, I think, from First Place. But what you can see, if you start looking at the crosswalk, that's the end of First Place itself. Actually, those have been repaved. It truly is Little West Street that's been left with nothing being done with it. You go to the next one. On Second Place, you see the same thing. Second Place has been resurfaced. Little West Street still hasn't. And this is another, I'll let you, Patrick, if you don't mind starting with this and then moving into the street itself. Ponding.
Sure. Yeah. Do you want me to begin?
Yeah, no, do start, if you don't mind starting with the ponding, since that's the picture, and then we can flip switches, you can switch to different pictures if you prefer.
Perfect. So yes, firstly, thank you, Betty Kay and the community board for your continued commitment to improving the safety and quality of life and infrastructure and for listening to our request. So yes, the slide is currently showing a pooling condition that happens on Second Place in the corner of Little West Street. This is something that is a repeated problem in the neighborhood, especially after major rain events or snowstorms. So essentially that slope down off of the sidewalk onto the street is blocked to pedestrian access. You have a situation where people are having to pass between cars in order to cross the street. For anybody with mobility issues, strollers, etc., it poses a big inconvenience because they're unable to cross. They often have to walk up the block in order to cross the street. That is, I know on Google Maps there is some signs of the zebra crossing that had been put in place, but that has not resolved the drainage issues. And the closest drain is at a grade that can't be reached currently. So that's going to require significant re-engineering in order to resolve. So moving on to the rest of our concerns, obviously, as Betty has mentioned, the road surface on Little West Street, particularly between Battery Place and Second Place, this roadway has not been resurfaced in 20 years. And you can see that through those historic Google Street View images. If you look back over 2 decades, you can still see some of the running repairs that have been carried out on the street over the years. So the pavement, if anybody wants to stop by and take a look, it's clear to see it poses a hazardous condition to not just to drivers, but to pedestrians, people with strollers, etc. So you can see that the surface is just littered with potholes, crumbling asphalt, and is in a very poor state of affairs as compared to some of the surrounding streets in the neighborhood. So in recent months, the issue has been compounded by the work that's taking place in Wagner Park. We've seen a big increase in heavy goods vehicles in the neighborhood, and that's just further deteriorated the road surface. In addition to the road surface, we'd like to request that the two following issues also be looked into and investigated. First off is the traffic calming measures. So the existing speed bump in the area it doesn't do much to slow down drivers. And we respectfully request that the Department of Transport evaluate the current traffic calming infrastructure to see if we can either improve the existing speed bump, add more speed bumps, or put in some sort of other traffic calming measures. The second thing we would like to be looked into is to have marked pedestrian crossings and signage implemented on the junctions of First Place and Second Place. This is crossing Little West Street as opposed to crossing the streets themselves. Time and time again, we see cars driving at elevated speeds down Little West Street, and there's always a uncertainty between the pedestrians and the drivers as to who has the right of way. So as we already touched on, of course, the drainage issues, it's a long-standing issue, and something that should be taken care of if the resurfacing of the road does go ahead. So we feel these are not cosmetic issues, that they're vital improvements needed to protect our community's safety, quality of life, and accessibility. And we think all of the work that's needed, it fits in with the city's Vision Zero initiative, which endeavors to eliminate traffic and pedestrian fatalities. On that, I will close out. If anybody has any questions, anything we can do to help collaborate with the board or follow-up efforts, we're more than willing to help.
Thanks, Patrick. Actually, I'm going to start by talking to Colleen, because you probably didn't hear us talking before. She is from the DOT and is here at the meeting. We usually have somebody here from the DOT meetings. And my question to you, Colleen, my thought myself was, what do I do about things such as the camping, which obviously is an issue that we want to deal with?
Right.
But it's actually on first place and second place, not Little West Street. So simply surfacing Little West Street won't solve that problem. How do you suggest we handle it? As a separate issue or part of all the same?
So, hi Patrick, it's Colleen Chattergood from City Department of Transportation. I'm here, in place of my colleague Kate Shear. And I just want to let you know, I haven't heard the term zebras in ages. I grew up with my parents saying Z instead of Z. So just so you know, so Kate, filled me in what's going on. And she mentioned to me that this stretch of Battery Place is actually, we're confirming jurisdiction because we think it's, part of the, Port Authority. And, we have our land use division. So once that's confirmed, if it is the Port Authority, we will let them know and of the issues and in terms of working with them to see what can be done with resurfacing the roadway. Because they might ask us to do it on behalf of them, or they might have their own contractor to do that work. So we have our land use division and they're gonna confirm that and we'll keep you posted. Give us maybe about a week or so and we'll get back to the community board and we'll let you know what the next steps are gonna be.
Thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
does that have to do with ponding as well as?
So it should be a whole comprehensive look at the intersection, from Battery Place from first place to second place. And they'll look at the ponding. We'll definitely look at the ponding to see what can be done to alleviate it.
Okay, so they'll look at the intersections, even if first and second place are
Mhm.
not their jurisdiction, meaning Port Authority.
Yes, they can look at it. And and we'll confirm the jurisdiction. We'll confirm first and second place as well. Because it's possible that that is within their jurisdiction. We don't know yet until our land use confirms that. So
How did Port Authority get into all of this?
I
New
know,
York State owns the Greenway,
yeah,
and I thought maybe it's them because somehow with the Greenway. And I also know that up north,
yeah.
the streets weren't turned over to the New York City DOT, so they're still under the jurisdiction of the Battery Park City Authority.
We are.
Where in the world is the Port Authority?
That's a really great question. I myself would like to know that. It's possible that these streets belonged to them many, many years ago and it was never transferred to the city. Because we know that in terms of working with private developers, for example, Freedom Place, I know this for a fact, in the Upper West Side, most of those streets are still with the developer. And we're working closely with them to hand those streets back to DOT so that we can install our own parking regulation signs, take control of the streetlights and resurface those streets. Yes,
Yeah, no, I'm aware of these weird.
Yeah.
Jurisdictional issues. They're all over
yeah.
our district.
And you know, we work very closely with the borough president's office. They have a topographical division as well. So we utilize their service in conjunction with our land use division at DOT to reaffirm our confirmation on this.
Okay, great, because I was concerned also that since there's a 5-year period of time after resurfacing, they don't like to open it.
They don't like to open the streets, that's
Which
correct,
I
because it's
understand.
protected.
But because we thought in case it was tied up to the resiliency project, that Wagner Park is opening next week.
Next week.
So at least that would be beyond this. And you're saying it's 4:30 potentially anyway.
Yeah, it might be Port Authority, but yes, correct.
If you see that in the resolution, don't be surprised about the opening of Wagner Park.
No, I won't be surprised.
Wait, the battery place is potentially Port Authority, what about Little West? No,
Well, we're talking about Little
We're talking about Little
we're
West,
just talking
yeah,
about Little West.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It looks like what looks like traffic is there a lot, and it's because there's a taxi stand there. So they're just sitting there and doing little things as traffic.
We knew not as big as you thought. Okay. People want to move, are there any questions of Patrick? I didn't think there'd be many because this is something everyone agrees with. We're very sympathetic. This is a problem that needs to be done.
So
Patrick,
Betty
so-
Kay,
Wait,
if
let
I may-
Colleen-
so if I may, I just have one more while we're talking about roads in the
Sure.
neighborhood that need resurfacing. Washington Street, which doesn't directly affect us, but is across the street, notably right where the car park exits, is in horrendous condition as well. So if it's at all possible, while the file is open, just to take a look at Washington Street as well, because I know a lot of our residents do park there as well. And again, it's a road that's just in dire need of repair.
Sure, and Patrick, it's Washington Street between what and what? Is it the entire street segment or?
So it would be between the West Side Highway and Battery Place, I believe.
Thank you.
That can be right. Goes the other way, it goes the other way.
I was gonna say,
Like you're talking about around like Edgar Street and that.
last night,
Actually, I believe it's called Morris Street here, but I think
Morris.
so.
Morris?
Yes, yeah.
Morris Street.
and Colleen, did you have a comment to make?
I was just gonna say, Patrick, if we don't have those photos, can you please share that with Kate and myself? Photos that- Yeah,
It's on those.
okay, great. That would be helpful. Thank you.
No problem.
One suggestion
Please.
for funding, you can ask DEP to evaluate catch basin placement. And they will look at that for you.
Yeah, DEP, they're the ones who are responsible for installing the catch basins at the corners. So if there aren't any, it would be good if the community board sent a resolution to them, to the agency, to add those corners on their list for consideration for catch basins.
I have a question for Patrick. Patrick, is it that the catch basin is obstructed or there isn't? Or is it just that the water leaks across the street?
So there's no catch basin there. There seems to be some sort of services under a manhole there. Possibly that's why they didn't put a catch basin on that corner. There is a catch basin located slightly west. You can't make it out in that picture, but it's just out of view on the west side there. Serves no purpose.
Yeah, so if there is a manhole cover at that intersection, that's the reason why there's probably no catch basin, because what you would have is a capital reconstruction to relocate that manhole cover to see if you can install a catch basin there. But there are probably other locations that DEP can look at, other corners, maybe on the opposite side of the street.
Well, look,
Yeah.
yeah, probably makes most sense to us. He's spotting it that way. We don't look at those three streets. The street's not very long.
Right, look at the corners.
Okay,
And Miss Patrick, who are you with?
30 West Street. He's the building manager.
Oh, okay, got it.
And again, the address is West Street, but it's really on Little West Street. They don't understand our addresses. That goes,
What's the BBM? Let's get right down to it.
no, by all means, if you want to go to one of the next slides, I think under there, for it resolved, we can go. Because it's going to also have to be changed. But briefly, just for resurfacing, which is obviously going to have to, the question is, we put these forward and then wait, and we may not get before full board meeting, which is next week, how to change them, because if we have the Port Authority called in on it, then we can't bring.
How long do you think it'll take to confirm jurisdiction?
When is your full board meeting?
Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, a week from today. Why don't you give us a few days? We'll try to get that information to you before your full board meeting.
Okay, because then we can change it
Yeah.
to asking the appropriate group to
Yeah.
look at. Obviously, the DOT would still come into the picture. Oh, we'd be asking the DEP to look at catch basins.
Or, look, I'm not trying to postpone it, I'm just thinking, should we wait till we get feedback or response from the agency?
Unfortunately, it's kind of where I'm off the line. On the other hand, next month is a vacation month, although executive could take it up.
Take which item?
This issue. You're not listening.
Yeah.
The work about zoning, we get all of these those questions answered.
August? August, exactly.
That is what's
Straight.
Then I would definitely push for this month, because otherwise we'll
hoping
do
to
month
not meet
postponed,
because
just because.
somebody is.
I'll have to play with the wording and I'll work with Zach and others to see what's the best wording to use. To make it flexible in case something changes. And it can always be sent out to all the parties, but it's straight enough with the DEP to ask them to look at the catch basin and consider placing them the corners. So we have at least two parties to look at, the DOT or Port Authority, whichever it is. For the resurfacing, we're looking at the DEP for the catch basins to deal with the ponding. As far as the requests that are being made about the crossings, those would have to go to the DOT. And that's asking them for some kind of signage,
Right, or traffic calming was the
for
request.
traffic calm.
Right, so pedestrian crossing, zebras, and some other sort of crossing, traffic calming measure.
I assume it means,
I think he means refurbish the crosswalk markings
Yes.
and signage as well. And if there is a speed hump there, we can look at refurbishing the speed hump so that it's more elevated. It's probably worn out. That's what it is. And, install new markings there for the speed hump.
Might it also be possible to use a hump that is the raised crosswalk so that you alleviate the ponding at the same time?
We can look at that, but that does not guarantee that the ponding will be alleviated.
It
Yeah.
just makes it
It
to the
just makes that,
side,
yeah,
but it at least
yeah.
solves the problem with mobility issues and bonding.
I think once we confirm who has jurisdiction with the paving, that, we can, if it's us or if it's the Port Authority, we can work with them to make sure that the ponding is addressed. Because, the city gets a lot of complaints about ponding, and these are largely addressed when we mill and pave the street. And it usually, it alleviates the condition, yeah.
I wish they would do the one on Chambers Street and at Broadway, because that is broad, that is sunny weather. Then that is, so you know there's going to multiple groups, and there could be some question of who goes back and forth. Why? Because the DEP, if they're dealing with catch basins, may be one of the foremost groups that really works with common. We don't know. But we'll certainly put forward, as we've been discussing here, ask for the crosswalk, the markings, the furbishing, the speed hump. I'm gonna take care of those and dealing with ponding in general.
So let's say it is, the port authorities, they have jurisdiction, or maybe it's the state. But then New York City DOT has the right to put crosswalk markings, or do they have to get approval for these things?
We would work with them, yeah. We would work with them in terms of signing off the crosswalk markings, because we would have to review it. I mean, keep in mind, even if it is under their jurisdiction, we would still have to review, the treatments that they would like to put on the roadway. Because, we usually don't allow builders to put whatever treatment they want on the roadway. That would have to come to DOT to review.
So it still follows the DOT
Yes,
standards?
yes, yeah, we still have to follow the MUTCD standards, yeah.
Well, some signage, Port Authority has its own signage for its own roads. I know
That's
that-
because it's on their property.
I was gonna say, well, it's
Yeah.
on their property.
Property, yeah.
This wouldn't be considered their property, even if they have jurisdiction over the road.
If they have jurisdiction, yes, it would be considered, of course, their property. But again, we would still be involved in,
No question.
Yeah.
That's the same with everywhere we have mixed jurisdiction.
Even with Dyer Avenue, they do have jurisdiction with Dyer Avenue, but we work very closely with them on signage. As a matter of fact, we have a pilot program with them in Dyer Avenue with traffic congestion.
Thank you. I'm dying to know more about multiple jurisdictions. but-
I know.
Sorry.
Me too.
Yeah. It's not on something, but it comes up over and over.
It's like a black hole.
We got to learn our bad, so thank you. Are people ready to take a vote?
Question?
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, so we'll take it by affirmation, if you're assumed yes, unless you vote otherwise, for what has been stated here. We're not those who are opposed. Anybody who is abstaining? Anybody who is recusing? It's assumed that it passes unanimously, so thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thanks, Patrick.
Thank you, Petra. And I'll get back to you once I know these things are straightened out so you can see what actually gets submitted. Okay, yeah, that's where you do the postpone. Now, see, you didn't have to wait for it. And this is gonna be turned over to Eric, so, but I have one thing to cover first, only because it's a notification. On the next slide, I want to make sure this was in the right place. And as you can see, they're going to, this is an awareness that the road is going to be closed. Whoops. See it?
Cliff Street between John and Fulton. 7:26 to 8:24, full road closure on Saturdays and Sundays, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. for Con Edison Park.
Cliff between now and Fulton.
Yes.
Yes.
All of Cliff.
Well, not the part north of Fulton. It's the part south. of Fulton.
You're right. Yeah, the stub end. Yes.
Oh, so,
So,
there, all right.
So you get to Con Ed, you know, they do. Okay. So since these are people who care, they're the ones who should most know about this notification. So, yeah.
What about the garage? There's a garage that serves, Cliff Street. From 99 John, there's a garage. Will they have access to it?
That was because it had to do with everybody who is along that stretch and what access do they or do they not have.
So usually when there is a garage, they do permit them to have access. There is probably gonna be a flagger that would allow that. I know that garage there, it's not busy per se, but you know, there are cars go in and out, yeah, but they would have a flagger there to allow access.
And there's a World Trade Center police post there now, so I'm assuming they'll get access.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for telling us.
But as far as the temple, as far as the city bike
Right.
station, all those things, going to need and probably going to have access. It's not because they're not coming in vehicle, I know the pedestrian kind of activities. But those are our concerns. So.
Yeah, I mean, even if the street is closed, I mean, you're still gonna have probably foot traffic on the sidewalk. And
Garage.
I'm sure there's gonna be someone there to guide you.
Okay.
Yeah, because there is a masjid there and there is a youth station, city bike station.
Do you want to get into the presentation?
Wait, no, first, Sarah, is your hand up? Could you have a question before this topic arises?
Sarah? You want me to do?
She wrote in the chat that that garage is very busy.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Okay,
on the
then Sarah-
board of, I'm on the board of 99 John Street, and it's a problem when they close it from that time because of the garage is a huge issue for us, and it's a huge issue for tenants, and we've had issues before. Somebody was trying to go into like labor from the garage again. So it is a very busy garage. It's not, the only time it's not busy when Con Ed or someone closes that street and people can't get in.
Okay, thank you.
Is this garage just the parking lot?
Not the open one. It's a garage that leads into the
Into a
building.
building, yes. It goes down to a building.
Can we have a full presentation?
Yeah, let's have it.
And then I tell the clerk he can get started.
Sorry.
So it's So it's some other.
Or can I use
Cities for announcement.
Okay, is that? Okay, the street crossing of Fulton Street at Cliff Street needs safety improvements for pedestrians and vehicles. So the intersection of Fulton and Cliff is surrounded by apartment buildings, Southbridge Towers, senior living development. We have St. Margaret's House, which is, has 250 senior apartments. We have restaurants all around. We have houses of worship. As mentioned before, we have a synagogue. We have a masjid as well on Cliff Street. It's utilized by residents, business patrons, tourists, workers, and students. So the pedestrian crossing on Fulton Street and Cliff Street is treacherous because pedestrians must cross in between passing and turning vehicles when they're trying to cross Fulton. And there's no control, meaning they have to cross in between moving traffic. So and currently there are no stop signs or traffic signals on Fulton Street for 2 blocks in either direction. Delivery vehicles entering or leaving Cliff Street adjacent to Key Food and St. Margaret's, they also need the vehicles on Fulton to yield, to provide space by not entering the intersection concurrently. As mentioned earlier, here on Cliff Street, the stub ends, there's a lot of deliveries that are happening. And it gets a little chaotic because, they're going in, they're backing out. Cars on Fulton Street are, they want to pass it. There needs to be order at this intersection. And then the real crux, and I've spoken to a lot of residents. We have Wally here from Southbridge. We also have Sarah, the previous board member from 99 John Street who just spoke. We need pedestrian crosswalk markings to also deter mid-block crossings. That's also key. Everyone agrees on that. There has to be safety improvements on this block. Okay, so this is a aerial view. Okay, so I took pictures and videos of this area over the last 2 weeks. Left, you can see a pedestrian navigating opposing traffic to cross Fulton Street over there. And then above, you can see a pedestrian waiting to cross Fulton Street. You can see there's a delivery truck also waiting to cross Fulton Street. There's just a lot of moving parts at this intersection. And then you can see here a man with a carriage, baby carriage, trying to cross the street with an oncoming vehicle in the distance. Okay, in this example here, what creates a lot of the problems here is we have double parked vehicles. They make deliveries, but they also reduce visibility when trying to cross Fulton Street. Also, on the lower right, we have delivery trucks. Like in this case, this FedEx truck is actually trying to back up into the intersection. We have a double parked ADA paratransit van. So it's all these things that you see somebody's crossing here. It's a lot of things happening that a person needs to be aware in order to cross the street, and it's unsafe. There's just too many moving parts. Okay, Zach, can you play this?
Yes, if you can. Oops, fill a little time.
Or Sarah says something about there's a new building going on.
Do you have statistics on how many injuries occur
Yes.
at this intersection?
Can you progress that slide?
Yes.
Also, what's the like initial statement here? So are you in support of what's happening? Like we started talking about like the fact that Con Ed is closing down. What are we talking about?
Well, the Con Ed, that's a separate issue.
Yeah,
They're doing that anyway.
So you're just saying you want support in improving safety here in this intersection?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Whether it be, so everyone will definitely, we need crosswalk markings at that intersection, crosswalk. Is it?
Yes, he made a crosswalk.
Yeah, crosswalk.
But they don't stop there, right? So putting crosswalk markings would also mean
Traffic signal, don't you need a traffic signal?
Actually,
something.
there's been some discussion among residents. I mean, I actually think I think stop signs would be best because we don't want to create, yes. But having stop signs will require vehicles to stop first and then proceed. By having traffic.
I don't see anybody stopping at stop signs, like at Liberty and.
Why don't we leave that for a
Okay,
while?
yeah.
And nothing to do.
Okay.
So,
I'm just trying to stall for Zach.
Ready.
you can go to the next slide.
On, that
See a lot of cyclists,
Yeah, and pedestrian, not sure if
It's almost
it's
all
at the right of way.
Well, I mean, they don't, because
Oh my God.
they don't have a zebra,
They have nothing.
no zebra.
But what are the speed on those cars are pretty.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think you have to say zebra now.
zebra. I don't think they say it like that. Are they gonna get arrested?
So this is Gold Street, not the one we're talking about.
Oh,
No, this is
No,
Flint
this is-
Street.
this is- yeah.
This is Flip and Full.
Look at all that.
So there's a lot of moving parts. That's
I mean, but to be fair, they could have walked the block in the time that they
Two blocks.
waited.
2 blocks.
Okay.
Yes, or 2 blocks to water. Yeah.
But people try to cross here all the time. I know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, there's also the city bike dock right there.
Yes.
So why not a signal?
Well, can we go back to,
The reason why not a traffic signal is because from my observation, the traffic is irregular on Cliff Street. It's pointless for me, just thinking that to have vehicles wait on Fulton Street when Cliff Street is really not, it's not a, right, it's irregular.
Okay.
Irregular.
Understood.
Okay, so that was just an example of a woman with children having difficulty across Fulton Street with multiple vehicles passing simultaneously, from bikes, e-bikes, vehicles.
The light would be for pedestrians, it wouldn't be for the cars, the light would be for the pedestrians.
Yeah, but you still have to have a light which stops. You could have an amble scramble is what I was thinking.
Animals.
You know, where it's stop in all 4 directions.
Hmm.
Pedestrians cross all at once, then you relieve traffic.
Ooh.
Barn stands.
What are those called?
It's called a barn stand.
we just let him.
Okay.
I'm almost done. 3 more to go.
Yes, yes.
All right, and back to your question. So thanks, Zach, for this. On Crash Mapper, at this precise intersection, within the last 2 years, there were two accidents, no fatalities, just 2 pedestrians were injured within the last 2 years. One was between a sedan and a pedestrian, failure to yield. And another was between a taxi and a pedestrian, where the taxi was backing up unsafely. Right. So it's not that, look, I'm going to be candid, it's not the unsafest intersection, but it also has to be noted, there are blocks in that area where there are no accidents. And this intersection, in terms of the magnitude by the circles, it's somewhere in the middle. But I think we can do better.
What's going on with those other ones?
But which, I can't bring it back.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's over.
Okay, now I like go back.
The other button.
So, okay. Oh, okay.
It's okay. I get distracted.
Yeah, what were you saying?
Oh, the big, is that over that scary spot?
Pearl Street.
Where all the
Right, right here.
Yeah, that's a nightmare.
That's
That makes sense.
All right, so this is the current layout, where you have Key Food, the top right, St. Margaret's, mentioned before, the mosque and the synagogue. Cliff Street, 99 John Street condominium. I mean, there's a lot of restaurants and bars in this area, as well as residents. So currently, there's only stop signs for Cliff Street. If you're on Fulton Street, you have the right of way. And this is the proposed layout. This one has stop signs. What we really need is to have crosswalk markings. I actually prefer having stop signs because I don't want concern brought up by many residents is we don't want to create another bottleneck. We have a supermarket there. There's a lot of trucks and vehicles coming by. But the key is to have vehicles stop before they pass through the intersection. And also for DOT, I don't know if this warrants a zebra stripe cross marking there. I don't know if it does, because there are people that walk here, but there's also vehicles that come in and out sporadically. So many of the residents from Southbridge Towers, including board members and 99 John Street, and religious organizations, the synagogue, the masjid or mosque on Cliff Street in the area, support increasing the safety for pedestrians. especially for the elderly. And as I was saying to Wally, I noticed a lot of elderly residents choose to avoid this street, and that shouldn't be. It should be safe for everyone to use. The disabled, the infirm, and for children going to and from school.
Don't use words like that. Oh, that's my group, infirm.
I'm not.
So he said
And
disabled.
No, that's a separate, there's. So to cross Fulton at Cliff Street with crosswalk markings and stop signs, traffic signals, or a yield sign. So the crosswalk markings would also encourage pedestrians to only cross at the intersection. There's a lot of people that cross mid-block, and I think that adds to the chaos. This intersection must be a controlled intersection where the traffic flow is controlled or directed by traffic signals, stop sign, or a yield sign to require bikes, e-bikes, trucks, and cars to yield and allow pedestrians to safely cross Fulton Street. The current intersection layout requires pedestrians of varying alertness and awareness to cross Fulton Street at their peril in between moving traffic. The next controlled intersection with traffic signals, as mentioned earlier, are 2 blocks away at Water or Gold Street. Some residents are also mindful to ensure that any changes to the layout do not increase traffic congestion on Fulton Street. Also, in the near future, there will also be more housing and residents in the area. And there must be order at this intersection to allow pedestrians and vehicles to safely coexist. Betty, can I have Wally talk about this? He has comments on this presentation.
Sure, hit the comments, and I have some pictures I want to show that give a broader scope of look at.
Thank you. Can I just come up to the,
You may even stand over here, just stand, or sit by one,
if
or
you
sit
could-
by one of these owls.
okay, if you could bring the intersection back for a second, I'd like to,
Which one?
yeah, either one is fine.
Okay, this is current.
Yeah, can I just point something
Well,
out?
nobody on the screen can see it, so pointing isn't a
I
valid.
just want to point to, okay.
Have Eric.
I think Eric did an outstanding job of presenting what the issues are at the intersection. And I think going back to the picture there, one of the biggest, reason that a light would probably not be a good idea is that most vehicles coming out of the right side on the north side of Cliff back into the intersection. So they're not going to really be controlled by a light because there's no place for them to U-turn in there. There's a lot of FedEx trucks and delivery trucks. So that also adds to the problem. The other big problem when you cross there, besides the fact that it's uncontrolled, that it's a two-way street where traffic flows pretty fast, because it is quite a distance. It's about a quarter mile between Water and Gold Street, is that the double parked cars create an even worse hazard in terms of going past. You can have double parked cars on each side because there are restaurants like Taco Bell on the what's, I guess, the northwest side on that, and the Kiefer's on the northeast. And the FedEx and the delivery trucks for Amazon often line up in the street on Fulton in front of St. Margaret's. So just getting visibility across the street is almost impossible. I agree that stop signs are needed, and listening to some of the discussion here and the fact that people may or may not see stop signs, perhaps a speed hump might also be something that might be considered as part of this. Because one of the things, I heard Eric talked about not wanting more congestion and slowing things down with a traffic light, but often traffic is slowed anyway because of the double parking. You can see cars lined up for the light to go further west on Fulton, the light at Gold, because there's very little access for trucks to get around sometimes. You'll sometimes have double parked cars. There also needs to be more enforcement. So those are the basic reasons. And as he mentioned as well, it's very difficult to cross with children. It's very difficult to cross if you have an assisted device like a walker. And very often, the fact that it's a two-way street, Fulton, it's coming from both sides. You're not even looking at a one-way street where you're looking in one direction. And the cars that snake out of Cliff also present a problem turning. They can turn in either direction. So I'm very much am in support of this, and I think that the photographs and the video, I think, make a strong case for this.
I'm sorry, I think you also need to introduce yourself.
Oh, I thought, my name's Wallace Dempson. I'm a resident of Southbridge Towers.
Great, before we go on those, I have some other photos that I want to show people, but that'll better illustrate what the environment looks like, and it won't change it. But if you don't mind, can you control back to Zach?
Oh.
I can advance.
Can I have somebody else speak? She's online.
Can we just advance and just go through these? Because I hear people saying things that it'd be easier if they just saw the illustration first. Otherwise, for those in the room. Yeah, if you go to the next one, so. They keep talking about all the trucks that are out there and how it blocks visibility. This is what they're talking about. Whole Foods are the forward trucks behind Whole Foods, because Cliff Street is kind of running between the.
There's not a whole.
Seafoods.
No, Cliff Street.
I know,
Cliff Street.
You said.
Whole Foods, we're talking about.
Well, it is down there.
No, it's not.
It's 55 Fulton Street, but if you go to the next one, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is Cliff Street. It's between those other trucks. This is Cliff Street northbound going towards Southbridge Tower.
So,
Wait a second. Unfortunately, this taxi is somewhat blocks it, but you can see the cross-docking going on and the unloading. So if you look, you'll see there is no daylight, which is part of the issue. You're hearing from people saying, with a stop sign, would people even see it with all of these obstructions out there? That's one question. You go to the next one, but you can answer it if you want to. This is in fact either a truck that's leaving or it's one that's backing up. I wasn't there, so I don't know. But nevertheless, this is a part of the problem that comes out of Cliff Street, that entrance that you just saw. Adding to this kind of chaos. Next. Down on the other end, as you come in, looking from Gold Street, you can see the trucks are still there, and this first truck that's double parked is in fact parked there. As I went up and down the street, the vehicles behind it are just stuck behind it, and the drivers in them, obviously, they didn't realize this truck was stopped and thought it was going to be moving towards Gold Street. It wasn't. The person in the e-bike realized and was out, and the other photos where if it was a vehicle versus an e-bike, they just drive in the opposite lane of traffic. So that's the chaos you see around these obstructions.
And these are all loading zones, right?
Well, go on to the next one. Let me finish. Don't get through these figures. This is one of the commercial loading zones. You see the sign up there. Again, you see vehicles just parked in it. They're also not big enough to accommodate all these big trucks anyway, which is why we'll probably ask for a micro hub in this area. Although it's only to deal with one company, it wouldn't deal with multiple anyway. But the DOT obviously recognizes the freight team that this is a real problem area for freight. Next, because there's another commercial. Here's another commercial area by Cliff Street instead of the other one by Riders Alley. And again, we have vehicles just parked there. So it's not available anyway. You go to the next one. You can see a policeman over to the right who's writing some tickets. So I hate to, blow it out on the NYPD and say they don't do anything. It's obviously, at least on this one time, the Google Maps was taking photos. They were in fact writing some.
She was staged.
So first, let's hear from the other people.
Yes, Sarah, she's online. She's that same woman who spoke earlier.
Sarah, go ahead.
Hey, how are you? So again, as I mentioned earlier, I am on the board of 99 John Street, and also I was talking to Patrick Cannell, who is on the board of 80 John. And something needs to happen in that intersection with the new building that is coming, the 38th floor tower that is on also John and Cliff, that is opening at the end of the year. The foot traffic is going to really increase significantly by the end of the year. We also have the buses that are coming in from the Titus School, which is also on Cliff and John. So there's, for such a small street, we love it. Don't get us wrong. There's so much activity happening. And the reason a lot of people cross, for various reasons, depending on the time of day, they cross Fulton from Cliff, one, in the morning because of the school buses that stop on Fulton Street. So a lot of kids starting at 7 o'clock, I see it when I'm walking the dogs, they're rushing to cross to catch the buses. This is not even talking about the kids that are going to Peck Slip or everyone that is going to Key Foods. We've had a situation where, and this has been for now a couple of years, two gentlemen that have taken the side of Fulton, where that store High Society has been shut down, and also by Taco Bell and Dunkin' Donuts, that sometimes it's unsafe. Families with small kids find it uncomfortable to walk there, so they cross the street, whether to go to the school or to go to the seaport. So the option of walking down on Fulton from Cliff to Water, it's much more comfortable for a lot of us just to cross the street and do it from the other side. And you're absolutely correct. One of the issues that we have is the double parked so that's a separate issue, but that's only certain time of day. And that becomes even more hazardous because some cars realize there's trucks parked, so they try to bypass them. It's a blind spot, and that has been a huge issue. So it would be great to figure out a safe way for people to cross from Cliff into Fulton because of all of these factors. And we are seeing it more and more. There is a huge influx just on that block. Again, restaurants, new towers, and the Amazon delivery that is on the outdoor parking lot. Also, sometimes they used to go only from Pearl. Sometimes they go through Cliff. So there is a lot of things happening in that one block radius. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, we'll have people. Mimi's been waiting, I've made her wait.
Yeah, so anyway, the Amazon delivery, if you go back in the slides to where you see the Amazon delivery people, I wanted to emphasize that Whole Foods is not here because the Amazon delivery doesn't make sense there. Like, I don't see that.
Key Foods, it's not Whole Foods.
Go back. Go there. Well, no, like behind the, if you go on Google Maps, so this is what. It's all these.
Yeah, it's the one after, it's.
Yeah.
It's like the.
It's in front of the bimbo truck, behind this taxi, there, it's a big truck full of Amazon boxes that they're unloading right here, which is a commercial parking zone. But there is no Amazon really, why are they there? Why is it that they are parking here? Out of
They're
anywhere else?
delivering to all these
They deliver to.
buildings.
But why are they in some random truck dumping stuff onto this, like, how is it that the commercial, like, can any commercial vehicle park in any commercial spot?
They're transloading, it's done on private property, because why are they doing it in the street, transferring of
Yeah,
goods
it's
between two modes?
Like, can you just use any commercial lane for commercial things?
This is illegal cross-docking, most likely. Colleen maybe could,
Not parking.
Cause they're using the whole
clarify
side.
that, but as far as I can tell, that looks like cross-docking and that's not allowed.
That's true. So just, are you gonna ask any other questions? Because I do have something that Kit shared with me to say.
Is it related to this?
Yes.
If you want to share what you have to share first.
Yeah.
As long as it's related to the cross-docking, that's what I actually care about. It's really
So
frustrating.
So according to what Kate shared with me is that we looked at this location, at this intersection in Fulton and Cliff intersection in 2023. And it did not meet our criteria for a traffic control signal. And because it did not meet the criteria, therefore we cannot install any crosswalk markings. Yeah.
Why did it fail?
It probably failed because, there could be many reasons why it failed. And in order to, I don't know personally why it failed, but
I
if
think it was the volume of traffic.
probably the volume of traffic and the volume of pedestrians. But, which I know this is a busy location because, I mean, mind you, I'm there all the time. I cross that area. I go there all the time. I go to the Key Food there all the time and it is busy. And most of the times there are double, parked, trucks there. The visibility is bad because you cannot see the pedestrian signals when you're crossing Fulton because there's always a truck parked there, whether it's a postal truck or it's a delivery truck for the Key Food. She also mentioned that that we looked at Fulton and Riders Alley to Cliff Street for a speed hump earlier this year, and again, it did not meet our criteria. And that's probably because the speeding might be too low. If the speeding is below 30 miles per hour, it fails the requirement, the threshold for a speed reducer. Now, just because we looked at it in 2023 doesn't necessarily mean that we can't look at this again.
It seems like it's worth still submitting for
Yes,
safety, because as
exactly.
you pointed out, crowds have increased.
Crowds have increased, and then you mentioned, I think Sarah mentioned the new development that's going
Right.
to be opening like next year. So I would recommend that you do send us a resolution again with the new points that Sarah highlighted, that there's a new residential building that's gonna be open 2026. And if you could add the school there, because I do know the school is at the corner. Those are all mitigating factors that can help in terms of getting at least a stop sign with crosswalk markings.
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Right.
My concern about stop signs is that it gives pedestrians sort of a false sense of security.
It doesn't, because you have the crosswalk, you have the markings, the crosswalk markings. The stop sign is a control device. So with that, you'll have the crosswalk markings. So it doesn't give you a false sense.
Okay,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, it does.
Um,
Unless if you decide to jaywalk.
Paul, go ahead.
okay. Can I
You're
speak
echoing.
now?
Sound like it was involved.
Yes, but you're echoing.
Turn your speaker on.
Okay. I won't repeat what other speakers have already said. Eric and Wally and Sarah have pointed out the problem. And the speaker before me from DOT said they would take another look at the intersection. I think that is warranted, and we should strongly support that. All right, I'll leave it at that, because I see I'm getting feedback.
Anybody else online? Any other questions in the room while we look online?
Yeah, are there issues with, like, stop signs when it's a two-way street? Is they like, cars coming from both directions have to stop? Is that an issue?
Not really, if it's an always stop sign. If it's an always stop sign, I mean, you, the motorist, would know who got there first and proceed, and the other motorists would have to wait, but there,
Okay. Yeah, people take a look at this, because this is gonna be the question, and it can be modified.
Do you have to draw it?
What Zay was saying earlier about the fact that there's no daylighting section. Will people be able to see the stop sign?
I think daylighting is very good. We have been implementing daylighting at hundreds of intersections citywide. So you can add that into your resolution.
Well, to say,
Yeah.
I said, take a look at what I'm proposing, and this will be modified or voted on.
So are we ready?
And that's why I brought up some of the pictures that I did. The really was to deal with these other issues, like the freight and the daylighting and things that weren't brought up by the other pictures. There was no information in the other pictures. Anyway, Zach, please.
I have a suggestion that I think will help as you get to full board and if it gets through full board to DOT. Wally, Paul, Eric, a letter from Southbridge Towers in support of this. I think would, definitely help advocacy there and at DOT. Sarah, for you as well. On your side, all of those things we can.
Can somebody get it from the school?
Yeah, if you can find someone there too, we can attach all those to the resolution when we pass it along.
Also from the.
The house of worship, yeah.
Well, if the mosque, yeah, if you got more, then great.
The school number, I don't know what it is.
Which one?
But I need to find out.
Slip by thing.
Go to it.
That's what speak.
Two minutes.
343.
Well, Sarah said there was a special needs school.
There is a special.
No, the special needs school's on John Street.
Yeah.
And that's.
That's Titus.
Yes, we've already written resolutions about
Okay.
that one, and I don't want to
But we're,
overlook, wait a second. I don't want to overlook her request for Cliff Street and John Street. It doesn't fit with this resolution, but I think it should be brought up in the future to deal with that issue. And then we can revisit Titus School because nothing's really happened to help them out.
But we're really just talking about a battery of letters in support of this resolution.
Right.
So if the Titus School wants to support this resolution, that's a
Good
good
too.
thing.
Yep.
Right, if they want to.
Correct. So we're just talking about the evidence that we want to attach to the resolution in order to have better efficacy at DOT.
Right, and I want people to realize I'm not overlooking the request that Sarah made about John Street. It just doesn't belong in this resolution.
Right.
Well, if
Yeah.
they're called a question.
And well,
Second.
I'm just gonna ask, is it possible to get the information as to why it didn't qualify?
sure. We have that information. We can send you that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that won't affect this resolution. Anyway, this again is a vote of affirmation, so are there any nays?
No.
Are there any abstentions? Any recusals? And I assume it's unanimous, yes. Well, thank you.
You.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Birds down there.
Appreciate
job.
your time.
Okay.
And it's Bexlip School, correct, is the one you're talking about?
Yeah, I mean, Southbridge is gonna be.
It's got it. It's all over the place.
Employees from Key Foods.
I mean, I live down there and not
Right,
right
so my
there.
question is, Colleen, is the school is not really on that block. Is that still very powerful to include the Bexlip?
It is a.
Children's
Yes,
space.
I would include it, yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I think you can go to
People have to
a
walk
lot
their
of
People
kids to
walk.
school.
in the area.
I'd walk.
Because I was at 8 Spruce Street and I would have been happy to sign on to this. It's crazy there.
That's.
The same thing about the signal at Duane and Greenwich Street. It's a heavy crossing area for kids on the way to school, so.
Well, so the kid, my brother was hit and badly injured, about 4 blocks from school. But he was a bunch of kids from school, coming home from school, and all the kids hit by the same car, coming from the same school,
Right. So
walking home. So I realize they don't have to be on the block. I still want to know how DOT thought about it, because
You probably get PACE to sign to it too, because they're giant and their students scatter.
okay, next item, do we have Lindsay on? Here again, I will kind of set the table with what this environment looks like. Then Lindsay is here to talk as, it's her proposal to look at.
CEO Lindsay.
Okay, well, if she isn't, I can carry through with it anyway, because I've spoken with her. And I know she has read the resolution, the draft resolution. Okay. Her concern is, actually, she is a resident that lives in 55 Liberty Street, which is between Liberty Place and Nassau Street, along Liberty Street. So if, again, we're dealing with another of these small streets that comes into a larger street. And I am aware, and she brought up, there is construction work on Nassau, which does make it worse, but it doesn't mean these problems didn't exist before.
Okay.
And a lot of what you're going to hear can go on, it's going to be on the Liberty Street portion anyway. Next. And I wonder, I came across this, it was kind of interesting. But keep in mind that in New York County and this area down in the community, in our community board, is really greater than Manhattan alone, because we have a lot more pedestrians. Nevertheless, the majority of people, and majority of transport is bikes and pedestrian. So do keep that in mind, that's our focus. Next. So the issues of concern, Lindsay wrote these down, these are the ones that she submitted. This whole process started when she started to talk to the people from DDC in the construction work on Nassau Street. They directed her, us, to deal with her issues here, and hence we were. But anyway, public service. Would you rather see the pictures first and then hear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it makes more sense.
Can you clarify who Lindsay is?
She's a resident in a building on that area who, like I said, went first of all to DDC and complained during quality of life meeting. And the DDC directed her to Zach, who directed her to me.
And just one, adding one thing, the community construction liaison, who is on site there pretty much every day, validated her points. She said 100%, this is all happening, I'm there every day, this is all legit, so. But that's worth.
So one of the problems you're going to see is, for instance, with those police cars are parked, is an area that she complains about, because it's actually no parking zone, there's no parking anytime. But there shouldn't be anyway. To the left side, you can see Liberty Place coming into Liberty Street with that one-way signs. So that's gonna be part and parcel, because we're talking about that intersection as well. And people coming out of there, and again, the same story as you have with Cliff Street. There's no signalization really for anyone on Liberty Street to know it's gonna come out of there. And that's why they're complaining, and there's nothing, I'm gonna complain, there's no curb cut on the other side, so even if I did cross there, I'd be stuck in the street anyway.
But that's not,
That's Well, that's the question. Is it a legitimate crossing or not? It's an intersection. It is the same thing that's true of Cliff Street. It's the same thing that's true of Riders Alley. I mean, we have a whole bunch of them in our district. But anyway, these are the complaints. This is another, the commercial zones. You can see the sign up to the left. And again, this car is parked in, which is why her complaint is, there's really no place for the service and delivery vehicles to go, because all the commercial zones that they have are parked up by either city vehicles or even more so private cars with placards on them. And I did look it up, and in fact, it is illegal to park in a commercial loading zone with a placard if you are below on or below 60th Street. I didn't know when they changed that rule, Colleen, but I was very impressed to see they did.
Sounds like. there's
So-
suggestions.
I say, yeah, it is. So they made the change from, it was one of the places that the DOT allowed placards to be used to saying, not in a congestion zone, you can't do it. And that must be fairly recent.
Yeah, you can't park with if you have a placard, you cannot park in a commercial loading zone. And actually, that's an old rule, this is nothing new.
60th Street and below?
Well, 60th Street and below, that's part of the congestion pricing, yes.
Right,
yeah,
okay, I
yeah.
thought that was pretty new. Anyway, that's what these are. People who park, they have commercial zones, but they're all parked up like vehicles. They're not used by commercial. So the same thing you saw on John Street is true. Crash mapper, what do we have? 3 cat crashes with injuries and 4 crashes without injuries. This is on a relatively short stretch, only from 70 Liberty until the Liberty intersection, Liberty Street intersection.
I didn't.
So
think
it's not even a whole lot.
I didn't even realize we were gonna talk about, this is the spot that I was saying that the stop signs.
Yes, this is the one where they roll through next to the Fed.
No one stops at these stop signs.
Yeah.
Like there's stop signs everywhere. Nobody stops at them. And so like you're just walking, because you're like, yeah, I'm a pedestrian, I get to walk, and you just about get killed by a giant truck. That, you know,
Well, and that's
10
what,
dump trucks full of gold going up.
That's it.
So I thought it was very well served to come after Eric's presentation and all that discussion, as well as the issues that Mimi's bringing up. Because we're all tied together, and some of the things in the resolution, therefore be resolved, are going to reflect those issues in general. So I want you to keep that in mind. So there have been crashes, and we have no data whatsoever, same problem with Eric's presentation area, that we know nothing about near mixes, which are in fact the bigger problem in most of our areas. It's the fear factor of it could be me next. We don't know. So let's have discussion first, but you can also take a look at some of the things that,
do you want to go back to, then?
oh yeah, sure, let's. I was planning, originally I had it in the end, in case I didn't. If you could read it, Jessica, I can't see.
I think the TLDR is, everything you just said. Public service is taking up parking, they park legally, and this
Fix pictures.
crowds, yeah.
I like the glacial pace of road work. There's so much construction there right now.
And it is a problem, but she admits that This was a concern before and will be after, and so that doesn't diminish our other concerns.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's still bad, even though there's construction there. Yeah. There's still some
Right.
stuff, and then there's the pits of woe that you're worried you're gonna get sucked into.
Right, but she doesn't want you to not dismiss it as, well, we'll just wait until construction's over.
Yeah.
That was her concern.
You wanna go back to the therefore, yeah.
Yeah, but that can therefore be resolved. This goes back to many other, I looked at all the resolutions, there were so many things. So this was not only calming traffic and prioritizing pedestrians on Liberty Street, especially west of Nassau Street, because that's what we're looking at, not because it isn't a problem in the state. To improve pedestrian safety crossing at Liberty Place, and especially including people with wheelchairs. And again, I brought that up because there's no curb cut. So when they cross, they're also kind of dilly-dallying around Liberty Street, because how do they get on the curb on the opposite side? Consider a slow speed, street sharing, road design. That could help deal with the safety problems shared on many single.
Was that her request, or was that something that?
No, I brought that she would do it on just Liberty Street. And I would say we need something more in general, because we're coming up with more, this street and this street aren't the only one.
A lot of street sharing probably is not the right solution.
Well, that may not be their term, but it is sharing it, and it's among these various modes. Which is why I simply, because I put in sharing for vehicles, bicycles, and pedestrians. It's gonna have to be something, because they're all out there on these stretches. And also to develop a solution and a pilot for improving pedestrian and cyclist safety and comfort on alley-like streets, such as Liberty Place, because part of the problem also is walking down those narrow streets. Pedestrians don't feel all that terribly safe doing that.
I think you should take Staple Street out of that discussion. It's completely different.
You don't see people walk along there?
They do on sidewalks. There are sidewalks along the, and it's a very low. Anyway, I just think it's a very different thing. It's not like Cliff Street or, you know.
I think Betty's point might be that like the sidewalks are so skinny on those streets, including on Staple, even though there's not high traffic.
Which
Yeah.
is why I can't.
I think
When
that-
people forget, people like me, and wheelchairs are even wider, can't use the sidewalk. We depend on the street.
Staple,
Delivery carts can't either.
Staple you can.
There's a sign, and actually I got stuck and needed somebody to get me out of it.
So it looks like Liberty's the only street that goes east
Yes.
for a while, so we couldn't just make it a pedestrian street.
Yeah, it's
that.
I think the language is imprecise because if you go back a slide, when she's talking about a slow speed street sharing road design, it doesn't mean a shared street,
No,
not a shared street program, which is what I was reacting to as well. I think it just means some sort of traffic calming that takes into account the different mobilities and constituents.
Okay.
But
Can we make it so that you can't park on Liberty Street?
you already can, right? Like, this is the problem, is like, they're enforcing. I know, but you're not allowed to park there. That already is a traffic.
Right.
Can we just put concrete blocks on?
On every street, I guess, you know what I mean? It's illegal to park anywhere in this every day.
Colleen is chuckling.
You know what,
So,
the majority of the problems I'm hearing here evolves around enforcement.
right.
It's enforcement.
So go to the next part, therefore.
But I did.
Well, let's hear what he has to say.
Oh, no, do it.
A placard, a car with a ticket. I think it because I saw it.
That's good, yeah, that's good.
Now, it's one out of the billion.
What you shared it on social media?
I mean,
I'd like to hear what.
Pulitzer Prize.
that's if I use social media.
You're like, yeah.
So this is interesting because, I mean, our office is at 59 Maiden Lane and we're always out and about in that area there. And I know like around the Federal Reserve Building, you cannot stop. You cannot stop and there's no double parked trucks or even at 59 Maiden Lane and then on Liberty Street as well. There's not many, that is not double parked vehicle. To be honest with you, as a pedestrian, I'm always mindful with when I'm walking, but I haven't noticed, maybe because, the individual as a resident, she sees more than what I see. But these streets, like what you're talking Liberty Streets, they're very small, narrow streets, and there's not much sidewalk
Liberty
space.
Street or Liberty Place?
Liberty Place, yes, I'm sorry, Liberty Place. There's small, narrow streets and there's not much sidewalk width. So I can see why, pedestrians are walking in the streets and, vehicles are also traveling the streets. But at the same time, if there is something that we can do to mitigate, we'll be more than happy to look at it and see what improvements we can, take out from our toolbox to help with, the pedestrians and, motorists as well. The shared street concept, which is what you,
But it's not shared street, that, it just doesn't, I'll change it.
Yeah, you are done like.
Right.
You and I are clutching our throat.
Right.
Like, oh, shoot.
but in other cases, we have installed or implemented shared streets, which have worked out really well. And these are, and they are busy streets that we've done this on. So it's a concept that we have and, we're trying to put it out there more frequently at locations that are, very busy.
How could I best use the term? Because it's, in some way, it is kind of a shared street. And that's what I'm asking. Am I really asking for a shared street since it's shared modes? Or is there
I don't think there is a better terminology. I mean, shared street is the concept, the word that we use, the vocabulary that we use. I mean, again, we would, have to look at it and see in terms of what we can do.
Yes, so one thing that, to keep in mind is that the run from Broadway to Liberty Place is quite long.
Yes.
And so I think, maybe what would assist is to have some sort of speed hump or some sort of traffic calming before you get to Liberty Place. Because then when people are coming out of Liberty Place, whether it's vehicular or pedestrian,
They could slow down.
they're slower.
Yeah.
Because I think that is quite a stretch.
Mhm.
And people do tend to accelerate going through. And when they get to Nassau, I have a lot of friends in 55 Liberty, so I have
Yeah.
a lot of, when I used to work, that's
Then you
like all that, a lot of time down there. I think having traffic calming in that earlier part of the block will slow people down enough. And then to maybe put those crossings, repaint those crossings at Nassau.
But did you
Because it's
say that
signals.
they have to be legally going 30 miles per hour? If
So-
you don't have that.
Right, we would have to do our speed reducer, analysis. And, if they go below 30 miles, they're not gonna install a speed reducer, yeah. Yeah. I know, because these streets are,
They're
again,
too narrow.
no one's
It's
speeding
too
on
narrow.
the streets, yeah.
And the speed
Why
limit
is
is
it 30?
25.
What's 30?
What?
Well,
It's
we're-
25 is the speed, 25 is the speed limit, right?
What's 20?
20.
It's now 20.
Street is below
Well,
now.
Well, okay, 20. So the threshold is 30. It's,
Right, well,
yeah,
you can go 31.
yeah.
For there.
Why, but that is 50% over the speed.
I know.
Like, we look,
Should that be the test?
we look at, I think what it is, we look at the 85 percentile. And if it's below 30, then would not install, would be
Can-
feasible.
Can we reevaluate?
I was gonna say, can we write a resolution asking for them to reevaluate that, especially now knowing that we're in a slow zone? And that like,
That means we'll never get it.
That
that-
criteria
that means we
is
would
just
never
too rigid.
get
Yeah.
anything different.
no, I mean, for them to reevaluate, so then
Yeah.
it could be at 20, and then we can get
Um,
speed.
That's a good question. I would have to ask.
Send the idea to
Yeah.
an email and we'll look at it in the future.
Okay,
We would never get.
I'm gonna have AI draft it.
Just do it right now.
Well, actually, yeah, yeah, I mean, you know that, but this is
Well,
like,
Therefore, get resolved in 10 minutes.
We have to vote on it.
yeah.
Any comments? Yes,
One,
Zach.
one thing, Nassau and Pine Pauline at the CCL for Community Construction Liaison for the Nassau DDC project. I stood at that corner with her for 4 or 5 minutes,
Mhm.
and the number of people that run that stop sign
Oh,
is-
yes, I've noticed that.
is very high, and I think it's because the visibility is very low at that corner for a driver, because it's very narrow, and the stop sign is set back
Mhm.
very far. And so the cars are approaching, and the stop is here, but they can't actually see around the corner until they get into the intersection.
That's
And so
true.
that's why they end up going through the
So
intersection.
this is at Pine,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's on
Pine,
Pine.
that's not Pine.
Yeah, yeah.
I think they go that fast because if they stop, pedestrians will walk in front of them for eternity.
Yeah, they go because they can.
They go.
Yeah.
Part of my argument for looking at more share or so even pedestrian priority.
It might be a daylighting, like daylighting might help there. So I don't know if you have daylighting in this, but they may be looking at daylighting
At Liberty and.
Nassau and Pine.
So we're not
But,
separate from.
but
Actually, let's just shut down Pine, make it pedestrian. I don't care. Every street goes west. We don't need that one to be going west.
Because I'm too both, and I actually just walk it. Like, me and my dog are like, y'all need to stop. Here I come.
Okay, Liberty, we're on Liberty.
Yeah.
Are people ready to vote? Or-
Call the question?
Second,
Okay, again, this will be a vote of affirmation. So are there any nays? Are there any, any recusals? Any, what's the other one?
abstention.
Abstentions, thank you. And it passes unanimous.
So can we shut down Pine?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Well, so we have, because one got canceled and we had a big crash that had a lot of press on Canal Street as they exit to Manhattan Bridge, we decided to do a new business tonight to get a resolution passed before this July CB meeting next week. And so Jess has drafted one and I'm gonna let you
Yeah,
take this over.
did everyone hear about the crash that occurred at Canal? And
Yes.
I mean, this is
No.
a little, there was a
I'm sorry.
driver that came speeding off the Manhattan Bridge in a stolen vehicle and hit a pedestrian and a biker and killed them early on Saturday morning.
Pedestrian was on the park bench.
I was sitting on a park bench. They tried to flee, but they were caught. They were charged with murder.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is unlike some of the other intersections of the streets we've looked at because we've been talking about Canal Street since, my God, since like before I was born.
Can you share your resolutions?
Yeah.
Sure. I don't have control. of it.
Since 2002, the DOT has been studying this street. Community Board 1 has been on record since, I think, 2003, asking for improvements on Canal Street. So this is not new. It's something we've been asking for a very long time. In 2023, the DOT, and this is, anything I say is not against you, Colin.
No,
This is not, but in 2023,
They
DOT
weren't.
announced another study. We obviously have not seen any improvements since then, despite calls from us, from our current council member, from our council member before our current council member. So, the thinking with this resolution was, we're not introducing much new information, just a renewed call. You'll see that we've taken a little bit of a more defiant tone than we usually do, because the frustration is boiling over at this point. This is one of the most dangerous roads in all of New York City. I think there've been 18 people killed on Canal Street in the past 2 years or 3 years. Since 2022, there have been, in the last 10 years, over 4,000 crashes reported on Canal Street. So, yeah, enough's enough, guys. Enough
Where's
is
this?
enough.
Come on,
I'm
Jack.
gonna
Get
share this.
ChatGPT to share it with you.
Oh, there you go, okay.
It is since you drank.
Great. Do you want to see? It was all,
Therefore.
Then you can go down to the bottom. It is quite to the point, I'm sure it's.
To the point.
If you're very familiar with the accident.
Could you say continued call as opposed to renewed? It sounds like you stopped. Say renewed.
Sure.
Thank you.
People see it or soon, I can't really see it very well. So.
I don't see where you even zoom.
Have we blown up at all?
There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Not tomorrow.
Jess, that incident of, that crash, were the drivers under influence?
Yeah.
Did they have a driver's license?
No, and in fact,
I
they
don't
were arrested, they were arrested, was it 3 months ago? And at that time, part of the arrest, because she almost she did hit a pedestrian. But at that point, she was on a revoked license. That judge let her out, and she's supposed to go back in a month or two on that case when this happened.
Same person.
Right, the same
Yeah.
driver. This was in a rental car that wasn't returned, so it was kind of a stolen vehicle at that point
She rented it?
by the passenger in the car. So that person was also picked up by the police for that reason. Not only was she the passenger when this
You're talking
happened.
about the previous incident.
No, this one that happened this weekend.
How did she rent a car? She's 22, 23.
Well, and has a revoked license.
It was the person with the passenger. And
So the passenger
the
rented the car.
passenger did not return the car. It had been marked as stolen by the rental company. She was driving it, there was alcohol, and supposedly, I read a thing today, her defense lawyer says, that the passenger was high as a kite, grabbed the wheel. This woman was frightened, and her response was to hit the gas in response. And she wasn't in fact speeding, except for this fright response, because she was fearful for her car losing control, which it clearly did.
Somebody's car.
Well, regardless,
I mean, it doesn't matter, it's public
nothing
way.
new, right? Every study has been shown, has been conducted in 20 years at this point. They've all come to the same conclusion. This is a road that has people coming into a very high pedestrian dense area at 35 miles per hour into 7 lanes, where pedestrians outnumber cars 3 to 1, but they're 90% of the space is devoted to cars. So we need to expand the pedestrian space, create more safe cyclist infrastructure. We've known that for 20 years. So, but
No, stop.
But, like, this is nothing new, and we know what the problem is. Everyone is
Well,
looking
and
at
I can
it.
say too, that one of the things that Hampton Street blog today was, there's kind of a big plaza across the street from it. In fact, there's bollards all around it. Nobody put over there, there's bollards protecting that area, but there's nothing protecting
So the rats-
the area where all the food, right? Where all the seating and stuff is not protected. Yeah.
So look, this was tragic. It really was. I saw the video myself. But a lot of, look, the person that did it, the pair who did it, look, they were already breaking the law in so many other things. I mean, despicable how they acted. Also, the concern also is there should have been bollards around that, to
So you
protect.
don't want to fix Canal Street.
Well, I just want to finish, because we're saying that all these accidents, it's not just one cause, it's the design. Because when you drive on the bridge, you have to turn, and that's fine, but there needs to be bollards if you're gonna change the flow of traffic. So if you're gonna have these areas, they need to have bollards and protection for errant cars. There always will be, it's just, something will happen.
Can we just add that then?
Yeah.
Well, why is it a call to redesign the street?
So then my other point is, I only read the part that was shown. So there's no incident, there's no statement saying canal about keeping transportation flowing. Look, it feeds to the Holland Tunnel. People from the Holland Tunnel go to Brooklyn and Queens or Manhattan Bridge. Safety is important. We also have to maintain the flow of traffic. That's it. Okay, so I support all those other things that stated, like, we gotta have safer pedestrians. I'm all for that. I want bicycles to be able to use it, but you also have to say, we have to maintain, transportation networks. It's, yeah, but we also have to keep the capacity. Sure. Yes, because remember, the speed was also reduced to 20 as well, so that also reduces throughput. I'm saying these are all cumulative things.
I mean, at least the point I had with this is like relitigating this over and over, getting into the weeds on this is just, I don't think productive. We need to make a statement.
Well, and
we need
that's
to be
the
heard.
point. Bill Butter.
This is nothing is getting done.
But
It's enough. It's just enough.
So I agree that things have to be made safe, and it's always easy to say, I'm gonna reduce the flow and keep things safe. I'm gonna reduce the lanes. But then the purpose of the streets Or,
It
or,
doesn't say that, Eric.
yeah, but you're saying to make it, and you made something similar to that.
About pedestrian safety rather than flow of traffic.
There's nothing about ensuring that we have the same.
It is about pedestrian safety.
But this is a major road.
Let's let Cody get in here too.
Yeah.
So you have.
Just real quick, like since the introduction of pedestrian pricing, the flow of movement across Canal Street has been much faster, much more efficient, because of the reduced congestion.
I think the word is efficient.
Well, efficient. And, so that's one thing to keep in mind. The other is like, yes, this incident involved two folks who were, high skies or whatever. It is a problem with enforcement there, but 18 deaths over the last 3 years. 3 years.
4,000
crashes. That tells you something is wrong with the sign. Because other streets don't have it. Sorry.
And that's what hasn't moved forward with the DOT. It's the design. And of course, implementing it.
But then something needs to be said that this is a major transportation route.
It does in our original one, it does look that.
And that you have to maintain the capacity.
Not capacity is the wrong word, because efficiency could take care of it too.
Right, with congestion pricing, we've seen that.
This is a major artery to go between New Jersey and Long Island, and also within Manhattan. So you keep on constricting it.
I don't think we're disagreeing, honestly, between any of this.
Right, no, it's just a matter of how much is it relevant, how much is not already in the other resolution, which is attached to this.
Right.
Because if you go with the way it is, it's always, it can be done, let's reduce the lanes, let's reduce the speed to 15 miles an hour. Okay, so we'll make it safer. But it doesn't say anything about maintaining
But that's not talk about those other two things either.
But that's gonna come to it because we're not making any request to say we have to maintain
Jared?
traffic capacity.
I propose a solution. So after and traffic calming measures, can we add language that says while taking into account the need for efficient flow of traffic?
Well, it's not traffic, it's actually movement of people.
But sure.
Because whether
Yes,
it's
efficient flow of vehicular traffic. I'm talking about the vehicles. I'm trying to address Eric's point.
Yeah.
We can ask them to do all these things, taking into account all these things and the need for an efficient flow of traffic across Canal Street.
Sure, but what I'm asking is, do we really want to prioritize vehicles when
We're not
only-
prioritizing.
Well, you are, because you're only saying cars, you're not talking
No,
about.
you're saying.
I'm asking you to add at the end of traffic calming measures, a clause that says that takes into account the need for efficient flow of traffic across Canal Street.
Well, it still
Period.
allows efficient movement.
Addressing or keeping in consideration
It's a-
pedestrians and cyclists.
It's
Correct.
acknowledging that
That
the
part's
car
already,
traffic is necessary because of
Well, and trucks too.
getting.
Yeah.
well, that's a vehicle, so.
That's okay.
Sorry, I should have said all motorized vehicles.
That's what it is. Like,
So can we just add that?
well, I would,
clause?
that's fine, I suggested shortening it to, while still allowing efficient movement.
A vehicular traffic.
Right.
That works for me.
Great.
It's
Done.
the point.
Okay, so then one more request. Can we get a therefore be it resolved that the DOT make a presentation to this committee of its findings from the last study and have a session with us to try and figure out what tools are in the toolbox that we can apply across Canal Street? I mean, we're the transportation committee. Don't we have some ability to have people come in and try and solve these problems?
I've been asking all along for this, and it has been.
Okay, well, let's ask again. We're
So
asking
by
again.
all means, but we really need a resolution to say we're asking you to come when
We
we.
don't,
Got three.
we have an outstanding request for the Canal Street Transportation Study. Correct?
Yeah.
Colleen, is there an update on that?
So unfortunately, I don't have any information I can share with you on it because I didn't know that this was going to be discussed here. Yeah,
Right, so
in all fairness, yeah.
Yeah, so, but let's give everybody a chance to get the information we
Yeah.
need, and then let's try and solve the problem, one intersection at a time, or one set of intersections at a time. Let's just look at 10 blocks at a time.
Let's look at congestion pricing.
Yeah, great, because there's gonna be new statistics and new data based
No,
on.
no, yeah, yeah, because Henry's already signed a letter today. There was a bunch of elected officials and people.
We'll put
So
that.
it's added here, but in fact, there's already a request from all the elected officials and all the CB chairs.
Okay, well, I'd like to be on record as this committee asking for
Yeah.
people to come in and
Yeah.
address this committee so that this committee can have a publicly involved discussion
Yes.
and it can be publicly available.
Is there more that we want to add to therefore be resolved? We had the two, like this is.
The clause and the request for a presentation.
It would be a further resolve, so if there's a rename.
All right, call the question.
Seconds.
Thank you. Are there any no's? Any recusals? Any abstentions? Thank you.
So agreeable today.
It's a great job. It's easy to be in agreement when the issues are.
Like, right, like,
Yeah.
let's not make
Makes
people
sense.
die for stupid reasons.
Now, with the new slides, a couple of things that you can shoot here and then we can have the rest.
Great,
Let's
it'd be great to get out of here by 8,
Oh, we're getting out here before 8.
7:35, let's do it.
No.
Speed through the news, I saw the slides.
I did.
60 pages.
Yeah, there are a couple of
You
them.
didn't bring up our congestion pricing resolution. That's today. That's a joke.
Okay, now we're not getting.
You know, I was so proud of you, Jess.
There's way to get the plus.
Yes. Okay, votes are counted.
Right. A resolution to make Zach do computers faster.
Thank you.
Gonna get wild.
How do you know this? First, yeah, a letter from the DOT, talking about, remember the changes? We had a presentation on the bike path going on Center Street entrance to the Brooklyn Bridge. Yeah, this is the response of what they're planning on doing. It's gonna be done this summer. So, to remind people from the talk, go to the next slide, please. This is from the DOT's presentation, just to remind you where we were. When people come off of the Brooklyn Bridge, how they have to go around and go over that same plaza with the pedestrians, and then make a U-turn and go around traveling. So that's one problem they're gonna take on. Also, to the next slide, you can see what the DOT had proposed. So this was the alternative to get around, where bikes have their own space separate from the pedestrians are going. And what you see, that red area, that's shared, yeah, it's the current one, but go to the next one. Where,
Ooh,
Also, we were talking about this.
still a U-turn.
it's a much
Still
wider
like
than to do.
Good.
And so what they're going to be doing yet is getting rid of that one turn lane. The vehicle lane that's in red here, of course, is going to stay there, so it doesn't mean it's going to be eliminated. So that's going to be done. And next. The other comment that we had made in the resolution was about the movement of parking was occurring where it's now currently parking on Center Street, and now it's going to be moved over in front of Tweed Courthouse, kind of that area. It was press parking, it was really looking. And what they're recommending doing is, in fact, they're going to move it, but they're going to move it to leave enough space on Chambers Street, because they read the sensitivity that we added, that the school buses have stopped for letting children off at that area.
People are there.
Well, I say, yeah, people park there. Nevertheless, when they moved, the objections that were in our resolution included things like, make sure you accommodate spaces for the children to be left in. And they are going to do that, and said it's going to take a little bit of monitoring to kind of play with it to see if they've done enough or too much or whatever. Nevertheless, those are the two changes that they're going to be taking on. And again, the change, go back. I think it's back, not forward. Yeah, you'll see where they're going to be crossing down at the far end. So, yeah,
When you say that, you're talking about cyclists?
the DOT, well, the cyclists will be crossing there, but that's where we cross as well.
You're saying.
Yeah.
The entrance to the Brooklyn Bridge.
And to get over to the park, to City Hall Park.
Wait, that's where everybody's gonna cross now back?
They already,
They are.
it's already do cross. Right now, we cross with the bikes going down the same cement path that we do. Now they're gonna be going down the one lane of Center Street instead, the turn lane. So they're also gonna be turning in the same place.
They meaning cyclists.
Cyclists will be turning the same place pedestrians are, so they'll be crossing the same place that pedestrians are, and have been all along. They're just coming from different places to do it. We're running parallel to each other, and all of a sudden, we're gonna stay parallel to each other, crossing Center Street to get to City Hall Park. And they are wide, the DOT is gonna widen that crossing. And the bikes have their own space, and pedestrians have their own space. and I will try to not use the bikes.
Very nice. Yeah, I hear about that.
Zach, can you hang on a second? Like, if you zoom into the middle where there's, is that supposed to be like a three-dimensional, like, are those the plastic things with the reflectors?
Mhm.
Do we know what I'm
Quick
talking
curve,
about?
quick
Or
curve.
are they
You're talking about a lot of
lines
yeah.
They should
in
be
the
on
middle?
back.
See, like, where, if you zoom into the very,
Bollards.
Like the-
Come in close. To the end of the
yeah,
bollard.
like in the.
This is a slide, so I don't think they can, oh, yeah, it's at,
South.
Oh, you mean,
and the north.
Should be
This
down.
thing, is this supposed to be like a sort of three-dimensional rendering accidentally, or is that, are those lines on the ground?
Yeah, those are those quick curves.
The
That's-
plastic.
Those are the flex posts. They're the
Flex
flex-
To create that for the slides, so it's a render.
Yeah, no, I assumed it's rendering, I just wanted to make sure that I understood the dimension of.
Right, but it's not real anyway, and I don't know
Oh,
if
yeah.
that's actually what they're
Yeah,
gonna do.
okay, so that's a flappy goose.
So it's great that they deconflicted some of that flow. The one thing that we were talking about before is at the light, on the bottom left part of the screen has only, turn, arrow,
Other than-
green and caution. It needs a bicycle signal on that signal because the bikes and pedestrians are going at the same time. So if we added that there, I think it would be much clearer.
Right. Well, this also doesn't really address which was some, like our, I think feedback, which was like, this is very cyclist focused. This does not make tons of improvements for pedestrians.
Well, actually, it does, it's not competing with the bicycles. on that.
Yeah, we are, because I'm telling you exactly what I'm doing tonight, is walking that front line, and no improvements have been made there, except for maybe there'll be slightly fewer people going, cyclists going. Also, I'm not gonna go up to that top one, because I still have to interact with cyclists, it's still busy, and also we know all the vendors are right there. So like, it's not really improving, it's still very a cyclist point of view, not a pedestrian point of view in terms of improvement.
Yeah.
Happy for y'all, doesn't do much.
Does a lot.
Well, it won't solve the problem. We had suggested a gate or some sort of stopping mechanism to hold the cyclists.
You're talking about crossing Center Street now,
Uh-huh,
I am talking about crossing Center
go
Street.
down to the far end.
uh-huh.
Yeah, okay.
I'm talking about the crosswalk we use, the one at the
Right.
bottom of the slide.
The existing one, yeah.
Yes, so without holding the bicyclist onto the green shaded space or some sort of mechanism that does that, you're still gonna have a conflict area between those cyclists because that guy on that bike is actually going up Lafayette Street or continuing on Center Street.
Looks like he's gonna turn on.
He does, but I just stood there for the 30 minutes before this meeting because it concerns me every time. And most of those cyclists are continuing on,
Yes.
No, and they're coming both ways.
Yeah, which
yes,
is not,
crossing chambers. So
that was not one of the complaints.
But then also coming up center, because they are in the middle,
Correct.
coming up,
Right,
going on.
right. So that flow is still a little, still has,
It's still bad.
Conflict of the crossing of Chambers Street, Center Street and Chambers Street is still a conflict.
yes.
To my point, this is cyclist centric, not pedestrian centric, and that was my point last time.
Yeah.
Although I'm not so sure they are just as speed when I seem to almost hit them too, so.
It's not about one experience. It's there's so much conflict at this intersection. I see that they deconflicted it by giving an earlier outflow, for people who are heading south. That's great. But we still don't have, and I think the signal thing that we talked about will help. But we still need to have some holding zone to keep the cyclists from pooling in the middle of that crosswalk.
Well, they also just run the light
Well, there's that too.
in front of pedestrians.
Through the pedestrians, through the cars.
So which is why the arm kind of came.
Yeah, the arm was,
But I think that
And the other.
cyclists need to understand the rules of the road.
The cycle hanging out with the other side of the road, keep going south, right? Or if you're going across.
Yes, that is a cyclist problem.
That's
but
across. There's no, you can't fix it. Yeah.
So, Eddie, what's the point, what's the point of this, like, you're just showing us what they're proposing, we're not voting on this.
This is just my news. Everything on a resolution, this is what they're doing, and it's gonna be done this summer. By the end of summer.
Well, they haven't even started yet. Summer's like 2 months.
I don't think a whole lot of construction has to be done.
That's good.
I don't think it's it entails a lot of construction, like Jenny's saying, it's markings and paint and signage.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if we are to look at the signal, that is something that.
But that's Chambers,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, and that, like I said, I don't recall that being part of that resolution. It is a problem. But that's why, that would be a good reason they're not addressing it in this particular effort.
I'm also slightly surprised they didn't come back to us and then we're finding out this way, but.
Well, that's how it usually is.
They wanted,
They sent us a letter, it was
this
highlighted.
is really bad, very bad.
Oh, the MTA. Working on the power supply.
What?
Murray Street. This is Murray Street at West Broadway, and West Broadway. They're gonna be doing some work on a power supply, to the substation, to subway, sorry. So we know they're working on that one, so if there's any flooding, for those who are concerned, the MTA is aware of it, and they're doing it, and let us know. Next, I don't know, and this is where the street's gonna be closed, so. I knew there was.
Oh, wait.
Yeah. This is.
So this is different from the already construction going on right now?
Yes, this is different from the catch basin thing that they're dropping in along Hudson.
And they're doing this when, and is this going to be done in conjunction with, so that it's not double, interference with what's happening?
It just says July 2025.
This is different. This is basically to prevent that substation from flooding.
We're doing resiliency work.
It's just resiliency work on that building.
So is it,
It's that
thing
building with the green.
okay.
Yeah, so they're just putting deplorables up and they're closing the
Is
street.
sidewalk still gonna be,
No, sidewalk will be open.
okay. Wait, so they're, wait, how are they closing?
Can you
Sorry.
the parking lane, just the parking lane outside of the substation for construction? Yeah,
Okay.
Murray and which?
right between Greenwich and West Broadway.
Haven't they had construction there like for the past
Yeah,
14
yeah,
years?
it's probably like 3 or 4 years.
Yes, it's another one.
Then resilience is, you're gonna see that. Next. You wanna see it, this is the parking lanes. The pedestrians can use the sidewalk. And anticipated completion is autumn of 2025.
Oh,
And it's beginning on July 21st, so it must be 2 days.
oh, okay. Glad we know that.
And it is 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. on weekdays. So it won't be there on weekends. Well, I don't know if they'll move everything.
That's what we're doing.
It's just a parking lane?
Yeah, that's what all seems to be.
All around?
Well, no, just the people who are interested, that the RPA put out a report, if people want to go look into it, you know, it is.
What's RPA stand?
Thanks,
Thanks, everybody.
MTA's capital plan, 5-year plan has been approved, and in fact, this article, they were still waiting for some extra money, but in fact, the state did deal with that in their budget talks. So we're an all go for the MTA. PATH is offering a 50% discount to riders.
Sure.
Did you say path?
PATH, right.
Where are we?
Well, they come here.
Yeah, they show us.
So anyways, for those who qualify, to let people know and encourage others. Uber has a new elder feature, easily booking, and part of that is allowing other accounts to link to them. So if you have a son or daughter or someone else who helps you, this is a way to help them arranging rides. People might want to look at Uber if you're aware of someone who's having problems with this.
I also just read today that they're finally doing, you can request a female driver. If that makes you
Right.
comfortable.
You can do that as well.
I read that in my elevator. Captivating.
We have some architects and EV that follow directions. Others don't need that, but anyway. Parks and rides, New York City plans to permanently allow e-bikes and e-scooters on park drives and greenways.
What's that mean?
There are people who've been pushing to make them not allowed. in parks
In
agreement.
city parks.
And so this is
City
the
park.
opposite of that?
So they're,
They have made a decision, and actually, they probably followed through with what Central Park did. They put a lot of time into it and found out that there was no reason. They need to separate them. They need to do lots of measures.
it's
and look at
so
that.
stupid, because look at what you're looking at right now. So that's our city.
This was a-
No, I'm talking about the location,
Right.
which
This
is,
was a poor choice of
But I
picture.
mean,
it's not a portrait picture, because that's why I don't walk home tonight through that park, because I'm gonna get hit by a bike that's allowed to be there.
Yeah.
Which I was actually gonna ask, obviously I'm riled up now, if we can do a resolution about actually opening up the freaking street like it was pre-pandemic, so they can actually go through there instead of driving through the park.
Which street?
City Hall, like,
The Warren Street.
The bike route.
The
yeah.
gates.
That is,
Yeah, no, I mean, well, the bike route goes through the park right now, right?
right,
Yes.
because they can't go in front of City Hall, like.
Because they can't go in chambers. But
No.
City Hall, it's closed, NYPD.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, like.
No, since 9/11, the security zone.
no, but even
Like,
at City Hall, that is.
Yeah.
Through City Hall.
The one across the street.
Right.
In front of the steps.
Why not just do it in chambers?
Either, I don't care, but I don't want them going to the park, which I know that they're allowed to do today, but
But that's another future
But they also
conversation.
can't, they're not supposed to keep us connected though, right?
Well, this says that you can. The picture.
right.
City Hall Park, I agree. Is that a park? But Oxford Park, Central Park.
I think it's like Hudson River Greenway, they're not allowed there. I think it's from that.
But that's state law,
That's state.
not part of the budget,
Uh,
which is, again, don't confuse city and state, they're different.
Okay,
I did think.
all right. We got that in the system?
It hasn't changed.
No, because I mean, have my response.
The next one, and I'm.
We have-
Vexed.
Wait, question. Does it also mean through plazas?
No.
Plazas, no.
No.
Plazas, no.
Plaza's different
Great,
now.
so Bogardus is still safe. Okay.
Well, that's DOT, that's not parks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What this means, Wayne Park is,
But they still do
bike
bike
through there,
Apparently.
go back and forth.
The dirt bikes in Gotham Park though, totally fine.
So that's not.
Regardless. Yeah.
Yes,
But
they do.
keep in mind which agency you're talking about.
That's why you have to set up tables and chairs to be an impediment.
Restriction. Anyway.
Challenge accepted.
He's talking about the Department of Sustainable Delivery that had been talked about. And in fact, that is being done as a part of the DOT. It'll be really interesting to look at, this was part of the city budget from this year, but it includes 60 positions for regulation enforcement. So for those who've been wondering, we'll find out what the DOT does with it. I know Colleen's wondering.
Yeah.
So-
Actually, there was an announcement about this. There is someone interim, I believe, who's acting in this position as we speak.
I thought
Yeah.
we weren't a fan of this because we were like, DOT doesn't know how to enforce stuff. No offense, but like.
They obviously can't.
Hey, Kyle here passing on news so people know what the.
We have lost the spirit of updates today.
So you know. when
How many
the-
pages left?
We haven't even had a tweet yet.
Next one, again, we keep asking the city to increase regulations on e-bikes. Well, now it's in the budget. There's going to be this unit.
Hold on, so they're allowed places and they're also gonna be regulated?
Yeah.
To be allowed there?
Well,
So we're thinking of going to deal with it.
Such
What they should do.
government stupidity.
Well,
Damn.
It's the AI, I'm sure of it.
Well, some of it is also to go after not only with the enforcement regulations, which some of it, a lot of it's at the state level anyway, but also what's gonna happen with the app groups. Because that's something the city can do a better job of regulating. That isn't state. Next, and in fact, there was kind of a tweet war about this, so that everyone knows what's going to happen. First, the mayor tweeted about it. And then immediately after that, so he kind of puts the council under the bus. The council went back, and they weren't getting nuts about it.
we haven't touched it.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
And the state, Russell sucked the state back into it. They declined to pass a bill that required app companies to provide insurance coverage to delivery workers.
Yeah.
They didn't want to make.
They got pay raises, or well, not pay raises, but
They did?
it's,
That was city.
No, the state assembly and legislature, they did get a pay raise.
What's up with that picture? Is that like, did you make that? It's awesome.
generative AI.
I was gonna say, that's probably, can't remember.
Amy's son in Albany.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Well, I know, but I clipped the whole thing together.
Oh,
Okay.
My screen save can only do so much screenshots, but anyway. And again,
secret memo.
yeah, to support a separate bill. So in fact, although Albany did not refuse to pass the bill about insurance, but keep in mind, some people have been saying, if I get hit by an e-bike, it would be nice if they had insurance to at least cover my injury costs. But this brings it up that DoorDash was evidently strongly behind and leveraging to not pass out of the bill. In fact, they support, there is another bill that is that Seal Hoyland's bill. Hoyland Seal, that will protect pedestrians hit by an e-bike, but not the e-bike rider themselves while they're on the job.
What?
Which is still falling short. If you get hit by an e-bike with a commercial, you could sue them for your hospital bills, and it's not a lot of money. I think it's $50.
Like DoorDash and Uber and.
Well, but
Only commercial ones, but how about those people on the, how about everybody else?
so, well, they always do that, but the laws they were talking about were to deal with commercial bikes and really app company kind of e-bike riders, not other commercial bikes.
Only having insurance is that you don't have to talk to anybody else. You just have your insurance handle it.
Right, and so they would be, if you could deal with you could look at the back of their vest and find out who their employer is. But anyway, it does eliminate
Pedestrian insurance under that scenario.
next one. To show you, there's one of the bills that they're so-called do support.
Gonna walk.
And you can see it's still only in committee, so that's a long way to go anyway. Next. Next.
What?
Sorry, I'm looking at mine. This is a real mess too. It's talking about how Grubhub and those are getting bigger. I didn't realize Grubhub has bought, who else did I use? This is the other one.
Seamless.
Seamless. Grubhub owns Seamless now. Now has purchased Wonder. I'm sorry, Wonder purchased Grubhub, who owns Seamless. So not, yeah, that's what I'm gonna get into. Wonder owns restaurants. So it's getting bigger and bigger
Well,
on a
like
vertical basis.
Ghost kitchens on the other.
Right, so if you go to the next one, in fact, in the financial district of 5 Hanover Street, this is how big inside of the restaurant is, so you realize.
It looks really small.
It's very small.
Yep.
You can see they got names just from 30 restaurants.
Yep.
Right, so when you're on Grubhub or Seamless, from Wonder, or you visit them in
It's
person,
like over.
this is who Wonder is. Wonder owns the app companies. So this is all one big thing. So they have 30 restaurant menus. You go to the next one. Yeah, but how do they do it? In fact, they created unique partnerships.
Did you screenshot an AI over
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I did.
Which AI is it?
Google?
Well, this is Gemini.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Gemini. You see the logo.
I wonder.
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting that in fact, they don't pay a percent on each of them. They pay some money up front to get permission, and then they give them stock in Wonder. So that's how they
It's a
get,
licensing deal.
that's how they get more and more. So they have 30 restaurants now, but they're looking for more.
Well, they say 30 restaurants, but what that actually means is that they've gotten endorsements from 30 celebrity chefs. So like Mark
To sell the things directly off their menu.
and then it's essentially a reheat
Right.
experience of their food. So they're like,
It's just because-
and it's all like they're all prepackaged and ready to go. And you go. I mean, it was fine, but I mean, it's not.
But you should know how messed up all of this is and how.
Yeah.
the scope.
So what happened?
Somebody feel like they're just dealing with a bigger and bigger entity.
Yeah, it's snowballing.
Okay, so I want people to realize that. Next. These are the various rules that have now taken effect. You can see that the comment period is over, they're in effect. So the e-bike, oh, sorry, this is closed because this is the 15 mile per hour. And it's closed, and so we don't know the results, but we know you can't comment anymore. Next, operation on mopeds on bridges. This has taken effect. So if you see mopeds on a bridge, it is not illegal. And hopefully, if you see them on the bike lane, helmet belong on the Hart Lane because now legal on the Brooklyn Bridge.
With Betty, does that 50 mile per hour limit apply to those Amazon little trucks?
Yes,
Okay.
it would be all England.
Yes. Yeah. Scared of that.
Kind of breaks
Next,
it down.
operation mopeds on bridges, like I said,
Did
that
it
is
back.
legal now too.
Did you put your bag?
All right, so that is where they belong. Next. Jaywalking is also legal, so we don't have to worry about that, because you jaywalk anyway. Okay, but that was effective last month. So
That
now we
wasn't
can talk
it.
after the police.
They couldn't give you a ticket anymore, but it wasn't. So it'd be.
It's not criminal.
decriminalized, yeah. And now it's official.
Because they were using that to basically stop them. They were using it for program.
Yeah.
So,
The state assembly has on reauthorized all of the school zone speed cameras. So that is done for another 5 years. That was a concern. It was expiring this year. You think this year, Colleen?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was taken care of and it's good for 5 years.
You said it needs to one person doesn't like it.
Too bad, it's just
Spicy.
smooth.
That's.
Also, we may have realized.
Oh.
We may have a conflict with New York City Ferry between Pier 11 and LaGuardia, because this came out that the City Field, Arthur Ashe Stadium, soccer stadium, and the potential casino have been asked for by the owner of City Field for, hey, give us a very terminal.
Steve Cohen asks for it. If we have to.
Well, but it's not a potential ally. Forget it, so that's a move. Next. Yeah, this is about the Bronx and putting in, again, it's the EDC, working with Blue Highways. So they are also gonna be updating a dock there, which is another place that would be feeding in potentially to the front pier 6. I'm completely losing my grip line. But anyway, for Blue Waterways. Blue Highways. So we'll see, and the completion date on this is 2027, so it's a little bit of a running time, but nevertheless, next.
No, it's,
Well, I don't control it, all I can
yeah,
say.
you want the next one? Yeah.
Yes. Okay, and this comes from NACDA, which is actually a national association. Then anyway, urban delivery of what, people want to know what a micro hub looked like when it had things on it. This is kind of what it looks like, and every west side is what they'd be looking at.
There's a story today thinking about these.
Yeah, and this is one for net zero, which in fact has been one of the better ones with carrying food. Because I know there have been articles kind of nasty out there about, what's the one that just came out and said they will not deal with micro hubs? It said,
Oh, I don't know, but I'm familiar with net zero because
Yeah.
we've approved them.
and they came to us
Yeah.
about Blue Highways.
Yeah.
And the UPS is a problem, that we were
But
referencing.
yes, UPS was the one who refused to use it and goes to, you know, they have one, they go with
They
someone
pay for it, yeah.
yeah, which is not very helpful. Next is torment.
This is the Honda.
Yeah, to show you that there are more and more companies getting into it, showing that obviously they see a market coming for these various commercial cargo bikes.
That's a car.
Looks like a chassis.
I mean, I know it's called an assist bike, but it's a car.
It's 15 miles per hour and it's pedal assist. So it all the guys,
So
New York
I-
State law and New York State
Pedaling.
rule and.
What's the pedaling?
So we need both ends of the road.
What's their maximum capacity weight wise?
It varies by the,
By the size, I would,
well, not
yeah.
just the size, because that's when net zero came in, and said the reason they were going to the smaller one, not this one, was that they could handle, they tried up to 1,000 pounds and they could handle.
Can you imagine if you get squashed in that?
Ugh.
But yes, no, this is probably 25. So we will see what's gonna happen.
Onward.
More news for people to look at. Staten Island Ferry put an alert out there about lithium ion batteries and restrictions. It's a little bit confusing to read, but nevertheless, it gets down to it. You can get on with an e-bike. You have to go down to where the bikes go anyway, so there's no real change there. But you can't charge your battery. I don't know how many people charge their battery on the Staten Island Ferry, but can't do that. You go to the next one, they highlight the different kinds of vehicles, which in fact has already been done before, and you've seen it before. So next, naming rights for New York City Ferry. So if you start to see ferries with advertising on the outside, or with a wrap to do it, EDC has moved in that direction. Next, everything's for sale. And, yeah, well, people want it. There have been people really pushing, but you have to bring down the cost of the subsidies to New York City ferries, so I understand the pressure on them. DOT unveils a safe intersection design. And Colleen, if you'd like to talk about it, but I know that I haven't seen it, and I don't know when they're planning on rolling it out anywhere.
So actually, this is the first I'm seeing this as well. Yeah, because it depends on the area that they're doing this. Not every safety improvement projects will come our way. It depends on the area that we cover. So I don't know which location they're proposing this, but this is interesting. Because number one, you can see the improvements that they're looking to do here in terms of highlighting the corridor and shortening the crossing distances. And I'm sure this is gonna come with better clarity in terms of where pets and cyclists can be. And signage as well, improved signage.
Hopefully we'll learn more about it and start implementing it. But next, see, there's some fascination with it. Okay, it looks like they're kind of at the state level bringing back the old neighborhood parking permit kind of thing. And so the state legislature is looking at one for some Brooklyn neighborhoods, which is sort of interesting. So we'll see, because we know that's going to snowball if it happens. Before, when we looked at it, it was all at the city level. Now they're going to state. It's also looking.
We don't have parking, right?
Well, they came to us. Was it this group?
Yes, they came to us to talk about it, yeah.
Yeah, talk about permit.
But that was done at the city level, but that was, it could have been, yes.
Yes.
And now that the state is actually in on it too, so we're gonna have to follow that law that passes. And that would be starting in Brooklyn, but again, it has its own cascading problems of prioritizing permit parking. But again, if that happens, your visitors can't park there, your building employees can't park there because they don't live there. Only people who live there and own a car can put in for a permit.
We'll pay for it, but it doesn't guarantee you a spot either.
No, I lived with this for 30 years in Chicago, and believe me, there is no bigger opponent than I am. It has so many problems. It's a horrible.
I've never lived.
Take public transport or use a garage.
Maybe it didn't also. But yeah, they're there.
Right. So I put this next one in for Mitch because I thought he could send a check out of it. Yeah. You didn't change it yet.
This one, oh.
About those various parking areas that are for certain agencies. I said he asked to look at Seattle and where they're going.
Mitch, isn't
There you go.
I sent him a copy of it. He sent me a letter.
Oh, okay, good.
And I sent him a copy saying, you missed it.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Oh,
Wait a minute, second to New York City.
Saw yesterday on J Street.
Did you take that photo?
No, I couldn't get my phone out fast enough.
Well, I sympathize with that. But I'm really, I think there's a lot of interest, because I got a lot of stuff back from Tammy too, saying, whoa. And Pat Cannell saying, I love going to LA and I use them all the time, and it's so wonderful.
Yeah,
But these will have drivers behind the wheel. They do not have New York City DOT permits.
I've used it in San Francisco, and despite all the hills and all of those things, it does a really good job.
Their driving record, Waymo's, is excellent. It's terrible for Tesla. So you have to separate who the various people are. You go to the next one. In fact, you go back to 2021. These are the streets that Waymo already looked at and started to chart out. So they are really coming back, not expanding. But you can see we were already covered at that point. So of course they're going to be in our district. Next. Yes. Also, we have at the federal level, they're easing the rules for self-driving cars, so we don't know how much this will accelerate or put pressure on the DOTs. In New York City, the DOT really controls it and has to get out of the permit. How to be done. Next, it's also moving forward on driverless trucks. But we're really frightened going to be 18-wheelers.
No.
And the US DOT, again, is working on this to facilitate rollout of driverless cars and trucks on our federal highways.
So it's already happening. So there's already corridors through Texas, Kansas, all through there for 18-wheeler self-driving.
Well, you're gonna see it through the Midwest, and it's just open for so
Yeah.
far.
But in New York City, I can't imagine you're gonna see
Like I said.
autonomous trucks coming through Canal Street. Another reason we need to redesign that.
Switch, next. Yes, this fascinated me too, the
Oh,
first
yeah.
electric aircraft at JFK.
Mhm.
I knew.
It's a
very-
big deal.
It is a very big deal. And if you go to the next one, I was dying to see what it looked like. And in fact, it takes 4 passengers plus the pilot. But this was the size of the one that actually
Yeah.
landed.
It looks like an anime.
Yeah, oh, and this is beta, because the Archer group is in litigation, so we may not see Archer for a while.
And the president is also, since we're in the air, helping up drone and advanced air mobility industries. And so he's also doing more executive orders to accelerate adoption. So we'll also see what happens to that too. This is really about beyond the visual line of sight. So we're talking about remote, so we may be getting deliveries. It's a matter of getting people who manage these things. That's where the pressure is. It's not an amateur looking inside line.
Shouldn't we
There's
update,
also, go ahead.
I was gonna say, shouldn't we update the plane control systems or whatever that they were complaining about from
Air
like
traffic, air traffic.
1960s? Yeah.
Yes.
Before we put more stuff into the air?
Yeah, there's also
This has
news,
been unleashed.
there's also news today about being able to control air traffic and drones. There was something that was released today, but I
Since Carrie's a licensed pilot, I know that she's always more up to date.
You are.
well,
Mm-hmm.
Very cool.
super fun.
Very dangerous.
Yes.
Not at all.
And speeding stuff up is also
This is
super
the
travel. Allow it over the,
It's really
over our line. Well, this is not allowed for a long time, and even then it was just to the coasts. So, but supposedly they don't make a sonic boom anymore, so they're fascinated. But I can't, it's fascinating what sonic boom is to me. I'm old enough, I was certainly old enough to see them.
Wait, were you on a Concord?
Concord?
No, I live near JFK Airport, and I also was married to somebody from England, and I had them going over me at Heathrow Airport. So,
Sweet.
So- next. The NYPD is asking for
Oh,
authority
yeah.
for feds to take down illegal drones,
Yes,
because right now they don't have the authority to do it.
that's
We'll
what.
go to the next one.
How would they take them down?
Yeah. Yeah, I know, I'm like, that sounds like dangerous for everybody.
More dangerous.
Well, it says they can track and report them. They cannot access technology to counteract the drones, which is kind of all it says.
Yes,
Yeah.
I guess. No, you go.
No, I think there's certainly, I think it's DHS and somebody else has the technology to to take control over drones. And it was a big issue. There's like, flight areas that are, restricted over, power plant, electrical systems and things like that. And so if there are things in those areas, in those restricted zones, there are certain agencies that can take over those drones.
75,000 drones.
But- And I know you're sad, and I'm sorry I didn't get 8 o'clock, but do have a great August on, September, dog season, in September next time. And we'll be reworking those resolutions and I'll take a look at them. When Zach posts them as the final corrections before board, so,
Which is next week.
which is next week, so it's gonna be done.
That's it.
Wednesday, not Tuesday.
That's all, folks.
Yeah, and do remember to go to what retire if you think about it.
Let's adjourn. Sign off.
Are you?
Thank you very much for
I think so. Take care, everyone.